Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to give it another minute or so.
Oh, we have a request to speak from our attendees. Let's flip the table here. Let's ask the community some questions.
That they can't answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is your least favorite dev and why?
All right. Looks like the number has stabilized. Let's begin. Welcome, everybody, to this AMA. It is a general topic, so you can ask anything about Hardspace Shipbreaker. The devs will introduce themselves so you recognize the name to the voice and their roles.
Thanks, Tina. I'll go first then. My name's Jessica Klein. I've met a bunch of you before. I'm the lead producer on the game.
I'm Ian, and I'm a second producer on the project.
Hi, folks. You know me. I'm Elliot. I'm the game director for Shipbreaker. And we have a new person we wanted to introduce you all to today, who's Sean, who is our new lead designer, who will becoming more of a face to all of you guys. You'll be getting used to him being around more and more towards final release and after launch. Say hello, Sean.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I don't really need to introduce myself because Elliot just did.
Okay, so I'm going to open the AMA questions text channel, and this is where you can post your questions. So everybody hop on there and get ready.
Anticipation is killing me.
Yeah, what's the first question?
Do we have some tension music here? That'd be good.
Here you go. It's open.
CAC, I don't know how to pronounce that, asks what inspired the story, Elliot?
Yeah. The story was primarily there's the theme and then there's the story. So I'll talk about the theme, I guess, a little bit. Was inspired by just our discussions. We had all these gameplay mechanics in place, zero G movement and cutting things and grappling around, and we didn't quite know what the game was going to be yet. But just as we talked about the kind of experiences that we thought it could be and what we as developers thought was interesting, we talked about it could be a military thing or it could be going and trying to destroy things or sabotage them or whatever, or you're like a space ninja or something. But over and over, we sort of just gravitated towards this idea of you're just a worker and you show up every day and you do your job. And there was something appealing about the simplicity of that. There's something appealing about the gameplay structure that was really apparent there. And then just in general, the sense of that blue collar vibe just resonated with all of us. It's something that we don't see represented a lot in games, and it's something that all of us, or most of us anyways, in our past have experienced. A lot of us have worked blue collar jobs in the past, and it just felt like a great opportunity to explore that space. So that's where the theme sort of came from. And then the story that you see unfold, where you have these workers working for this terrible company and starting to try to unionize, it honestly is kind of inspired by the struggles that the blue collar class of workers went through, particularly in America, like the 1910s all the way up to the 1940s, and how unions became a bigger thing then, and how we're seeing that sort of playing out again right now with things like gig economy workers and stuff, and how unions are now again becoming a thing that people are really fighting for and getting a lot of pushback on. So it was just interesting to propose that in 300 years we're going to repeat that cycle again. That's kind of where the actual storyline came from. That was a bit of a long-winded answer to the first question.
Cool. Here's one for each of you from Kiwi. Favorite character and why?
Good question. Jess, you go first.
Well, I would have to say Control because I was the voice of Control for so long. So there we go.
And you really connect with that character.
I do. I tell everyone to stop doing things all the time or don't do that constantly.
Sean, I'm curious what your favorite character is.
That's a tough one. I would go for Lou, I think, because she's the most proactive. So
Yeah.
I kind of like that. She's also the one that gives you the most information, and is definitely one of the more friendly ones. So yeah, Lou for me.
Nice. Ian?
Probably Dee Dee. I just really like Dee Dee's vibe, and I'm a big fan of some of the new Act 3 Dee Dee stuff, which I will not go into.
Totally. Yeah. For me, it's Dee Dee as well. Like I mean, I like all the characters. Obviously, I have a big hand in crafting them and writing all of their dialogue and stuff. But Dee Dee especially, I worked with someone. Dee Dee's inspired by someone that I worked with in the past a lot, who had this very gruff demeanor. Was actually kind of a sweetheart, and I just really like that kind of character. Tina, who's your favorite character?
I think Kaito.
Yeah, he's also a sweetheart.
You feel for him, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Poor lovable Kato.
No love for Weaver.
Oh,
Nobody said Weaver.
Yeah.
I think he's a big favorite, so everybody just assumes he's the best.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad nobody brought him up because we are patching him out of the game of full release. So
You and your lies. Cerelia asks, how do you envision the depressurization puzzle evolving for players as difficulty increases? And what is the last form this challenge will take?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pressurization is one that we've. I mean, you guys are probably aware of this. It kind of hasn't fully hit a sweet spot in the game yet, and we hope that we can kind of get something for full release there. It's a tough system to work with, and it's a tough system to build challenges, especially escalating challenges on. We kind of thought that the broken atmosphere regulators and the fact that on higher level ships you would have no choice but to violently depress and the how you choose to do that was kind of the ultimate challenge. But in practice, that's more of a frustration than it is an interesting gameplay puzzle. So we are going to be trying to make some changes for full release to make that way less frustrating and make it so we don't force you into situations where there's nothing to do. We're not going to make it so that we're actually going to change it so that there is always a way to depressurize the ships correctly. I can't say much more yet about beyond that, but that is the intent of the pressurization coming up.
From Papa Hemi, are there any plans for a volume 2 of the soundtrack?
I can answer
Yeah,
that
go for
one.
it, Jess.
So the soundtrack is not quite complete. There will be more of the tracks that are already in game, just kind of pulled out and separated, like the overlay synth tracks, and those will all be added hopefully within the next little while, like I'd say 2 to 3 months. But I don't believe that we have any plans for any additional music other than what is going to be in the closing cinematic. Spoiler, there's a closing cinematic.
Do you have some exciting plans related to the soundtrack that we can't talk about right now? But when we can talk about it, we'll tell you, and it's going to be exciting.
From Revenant, how do I stop my ship cutting addiction? Any tips?
It's one of those things where it's like when a song is stuck in your head, and the only way to really fix that is to just keep singing that song until it goes away. So just keep shipbreaking. That's really the best way to cure that.
I hate to contradict you, Elliot, but the actual answer is it's a curse. So what you need to do is you need to get 10 friends to play Shipbreaker, and then you will finally be free.
From Barrage 3, what's the status on the voice actors? Please tell me you've changed your minds about changing them.
Yeah, I know there's a soft spot for everyone for the placeholder voices that we did. That's a testament to the inherent voice acting talent and cool voices of our dev team. So we appreciate that there was a sort of an ask to either keep those or provide them as an option. Unfortunately, all of the acts changed. Like enough edits went into those Act 1 and Act 2 that we did have to re-record those. We couldn't. There's no way for us to have kept the old dialogue and the new dialogue. And we obviously we weren't able to record devs again and also do proper voice acting. And I will say, we finished all the voice acting. We've got it in the game now, and we're testing it as we speak. And I will say, like, it does add a lot. It does add a lot of sort of emotional resonance to have proper voice actors who are using their voice as an instrument. And I really hope that you guys will appreciate that when it comes.
And like, just so you all know, like the dev team was probably just as attached to the voice of Weaver as a lot of you are, and we were really worried about it. And the actor we hired nailed it. Like all of us were just blown away. There was not one person on the team that was like, nah, I like the old one better. So hoping that you all feel the same way.
Yeah, and I was about to say who that actor is, but I think I should probably not say that right now, but I will say they're someone you probably have heard before. It's fantastic that we got this person. It's amazing.
Were there any features you wanted to make in the game but didn't make the cut? This is from TDX.
Oh God, a lot, so much.
Co-op? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, co-op. I think the big one that we very early really wanted to do and just couldn't find a way to do it in our timeline or scope is the mod support thing. And I know that's something that the community's always really wanted too. And obviously that's great for a game in order to prolong its longevity and have community stay engaged, etc. And we would have been really excited to see what people could build. But just turning our internal tools into external tools and creating a back end for people to upload their mods and have that be playable by other folks is just something that was out of scope for a team of our size, and that's one thing that I wish we could have done. That's sort of external to the game. Internally to the game, we had ideas about Morgan Station is actually really run down, and you are on top of salvaging stuff to pay your debt. You're also salvaging parts to fix Morgan Station up and make it more efficient. Maybe you don't have two processors at first, and you've got to fix the second one. For example, that kind of thing was something that was very cool. But again, just the cost of having a station that could be modded and upgraded over time was just a little too great for us. I don't know what anyone else's features are Ian, what's your feature that you wish we had that we didn't do?
I think the user generated content thing would have been really, really cool. I would have loved to have seen that, but I think we estimated at one point, and it would have taken us as long as it did to make the game to make that functional in a way that would have been worth releasing. Or am I misremembering that?
Yep, no, that's basically it. Yeah, I would have taken the whole time again.
Other than that, I don't know. I thought having the Polaris be a playable ship was a cool idea. Mm-hmm. If it had been performant and actually fun to cut up, just the idea of a really large ship. But again, that was not actually fun or feasible.
Jess, what about you?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say the same thing as both of you, but it would have been the user-generated content. But if I have to pick something different, I'm going to go way back before even Hardspace was really Hardspace, and I'm going to say that I really wish that we were able to do the gravity bomb.
Yeah, gravity grenade.
Oh yeah, gravity bomb.
Yeah.
We should probably tell people what that is.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that. Like, how do you explain the gravity bomb? Elliot, why don't you try to explain the gravity bomb?
Gravity bomb was, it's exactly what it sounds like. It was sort of like a demo charge. You throw it and it would detonate, and it would just suck in all of the small scrap and debris around it into a little condensed ball, and then you could salvage that.
But this was a thing before ship cutting was even in the game. It was a tool for sort of puzzle solving. So
yeah,
it was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, totally. It only ever lived as a very rough prototype. But yeah, that would have been a cool addition. We did talk about maybe formalizing that and making a tool in Shipbreaker. What happened?
Someone is asking me if you get to fight Hal. Ruh-roh is asking.
Yeah, the game becomes a side-scrolling fighting game at that point, and the combos are insane.
Unreal asks, who is your least favorite dev, and why is it Ian?
I'd say it's Ian, because he's Ian.
We have
Which
three
Ian?
Ians, though. Yeah.
Oh right, we've got 3 Ians on the team now. The Ian with too many eyes in his.
By Flex East, what's been the largest technical challenge and why?
Oh boy, I mean Richard's in the chat. I can see him chatting. I bet Richard would have some great answers to this. I mean, the hardest technical challenge, honestly, is just the foundational way that we build ships so that you can cut them apart. Just getting that to work took years. Getting the pieces to join together and then have them be cuttable and have them rejoint when they get cut correctly, et cetera, et cetera. That alone was a massive, massive technical achievement and struggle, and proved to still be problematic later down the road as we started to work on things like save load and how do you save a ship that's partially been deconstructed in an almost infinite number of ways by the player. So that just fundamentally has been very challenging.
And on a similar topic by Havelock, are there any techniques and development processes that you learned that might help in the future project?
Cool. That's a great question for Jess. And or Ian.
Yeah, I think both of us should answer this one. I think for me, I mean, every team is different and every person is different, and you kind of have to cater what you're doing towards the type of game you're making and the type of people you have. But I think foundationally, we have a really cool culture on our team. And we do something that like we do cross discipline equality. So there's no discipline on the team that gets more weight than others. So it doesn't different disciplines, art, code, design, QA, production, everything's equal. And we do we call it radical transparency, where we talk to the team about everything that's happening at all times. And we try and get buy-in for all decisions. So there's not much of a top-down approach, and that's something that I think this team has helped develop and help create their own culture, and it's something that I will continue bringing with me whatever I'm doing, any other team I go to.
Yeah, I think just the collaborative process that we have on the team is something that will be incredibly valuable moving forward onto any future projects. We just have a sort of a spirit of collaboration where there's no like hierarchy when it comes to creative ideas. No one person's ideas are more important or more valuable than anyone else's, and anyone can have input into the project. And it's a trans project thing as well. It crosses the project boundaries within the studio. Currently we have, I don't know, something like 5 projects in the studio, and we solicit feedback from anyone in the studio. Anyone can come and give us feedback, and we will hear and listen to them, just like we can go to other projects and give our feedback and be heard. And I think that's something that is hugely helpful, both as a project and as a studio. Scatmat07 asks, is the studio buy-up, Sony buying Bungie, Microsoft buying Activision, on the radar of BBI? The answer is yes. I personally think I'm going to buy 2K just to like sneak it out from under the two of them.
I'm curious what they mean by is it on our radar?
I guess, are they wondering if we are about to be bought out? And the answer is, I think we are very small fish compared to Bungie or Activision. So The answer is no.
Studio itself just hit 300 employees.
JSB4345 would like to ask how many more ships categories we might expect on launch or afterward, or if rather.
Totally. So on launch, there won't be any additional ships. I think we mentioned that the last update that this was the last ship update until being up to full release. We are going through right now and making fixes and changes to some of the existing ships to make them play better or be more interesting. So you see some changes to all of our existing ships, like the mackerels and geckos and stuff. And then after launch, I think Justice said this in the chat. None of us we haven't actually planned what exactly we're going to work on post-launch, because we want to sort of just see how full release goes and see what the community feedback is and see what the data says and work on improvements to the game based on that. So there's always a world where there are more ships in the future. Depends on a lot of factors, and we're kind of just gonna wait and see.
Goff says, this isn't a question, but I had a dream where I played Mario Kart, but everyone had Shipbreaker grapple and everyone was flying through the tracks, and it was pretty dope.
That's a wicked game idea.
Yeah.
So this is my question to you. If you were to do a fantasy marriage between two video games, one of which was Shipbreaker, what would the second game be?
Sorry, this is you asking, or is this?
This is me asking you, Jess and Sean.
Sorry, say the question again. I'm sorry.
It's a complicated question.
If you were to make a mashup of Shipbreaker and another game, what would it be?
Oh,
That's
House
tough.
Flipper. I'm gonna go around and change all the ships and fix them up while you guys are trying to destroy them.
So you're Jess, you're proposing Shipbreaker with House Flipper mechanics versus House Flipper with Shipbreaker mechanics.
Or we can decorate the inside of the ship before you take it apart. Huh?
Oh, for
Sean?
me, I don't know. I mean, I'm on top of my head, maybe Evil Genius, and you play as Lynx.
Sweet.
I'm just joking about House Flipper though. There's a joke on the team because I was obsessed with it for so long and I'd be sitting there on my lunch playing it every day, but I actually haven't played it in a while. But it's a great game.
It is. I do think there's a world where House Flipper, Power Wash Simulator, Shipbreaker become an Uber game that has all of those elements. I think that there's a world where that works.
I could see it.
So what's your answer, Elliot?
Well, so initially your question was, what fantasy game would I? And did you mean fantasy the genre?
No, I mean your fantasy, like your personal. If you had a dream where you were mashing up two games together.
Got it. I don't know that it's hard to top that Mario Kart and Grapple one. That's a pretty darn good one. I do have a soft spot in my soul for one of our early pitches for this game, which was not about shipbreaking, but was sort of a mix of Shadow the Colossus and grappling/cutting, where you were deep in zero-G battling gigantic metallic creatures with your grapple and your cutter. So that's the game that I would want.
So essentially, Monster Hunter meets Shipbreaker.
I guess so. More like Shadow Colossus.
Monster Hunter, got it.
By Magos Chrono, is there a rough timeline when we will see the game come to consoles, like end of 2022 or 23?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't think it's any surprise that we have been working on console. I mean, we announced on the Microsoft and Sony channels last year. So console is happening, dates to be determined, but it is in progress as we speak. Hello?
Flex
there we
Music asks, what did you draw inspiration from for the look and feel of the game?
Oh, I wish we had Chris, our art director here, because he did a really good job of he built these amazing sort of I guess mood boards or look boards, drawing from two kind of places. One is classic sci-fi art, like the kind of thing you would see on sci-fi novels in the 70s. Just these beautifully painted ships. It's kind of that's kind of the Blackbird thing, and the Homeworld thing coming through as well. Like that's a reference for those games. But it was a reference for us as well, and that's where the sort of painterly texture and the bright colors of the ships comes from. And then on the other side, he drew a lot of image reference from the really gritty look of blue collar America in the early 20s and 30s, and that's guys with grease smudged faces working on skyscrapers, or people during the Great Depression, kind of drab and dreary, kind of gritty, but having humanity, hope in their eyes, kind of thing. So those were sort of the two primary aesthetic references for
Vilcata asks, what's the future of the Gecko Salvage Runner?
The future of the Gecko Salvage Runner to not blow up as soon as it spawns. That's
We spent quite a bit of work trying to optimize the Gecko Salvage Runner, or the Galvage Runner, as I've just coined it. Digital Pack Rat asks, where is the crew pooping?
I've already answered that question. There are locks on the ships.
This one's for Jess. Barrage3 said, I got chills hearing her say, don't do that in a sentence. I think you need to say quotes from Control while you're answering questions.
Don't do that. Please refer to your training manual. I think. I can't remember. It's been so long since I read the lines. They kind of become white noise now when I watch the game.
Will we be getting option for controlling the helmet radio or adding playlists of your own?
Oh, you know what? That's when we go. If you go back to the question of what feature do we wish we had, that's one that we really wanted to do. And it's technically not hard. The challenging part is that it costs a lot of money to get all of the different types of music. So that sort of ruled it out immediately as an option, but that is something that we really wanted.
We've also explained it away narratively as you don't actually get to control what you're listening to. Lynx forces certain music onto you at times.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a data drive you can collect that has find an internal Lynx email that leaked about how they piped this working music in. They found that it increases productivity.
By CAC, will the universe be built out more? Will we get some new perspectives of some of the other characters or new characters?
In the final update, there are going to be a handful of new data drives and stuff that you find that give you a bit more insight into some of the stuff that's happening in the world. And obviously the story itself kind of gives you some more insight into the whole universe, the Act 3 stuff that comes. Outside of that, post-launch, that's something that we just love. We love lore. We love expanding this world that have, and so there probably see more of that stuff post-launch coming in. And if there's ever other games in the Hardspace universe, the whole point of it is to have perspectives elsewhere out there that maybe aren't even blue collar, maybe there's some other completely different outlook on the Hardspace universe.
Tomi asks, are there plans to polish the existing ships and address areas where the parts get welded together without cut points?
100%. Yeah, when I say we're going back and cleaning up and improving the ships, that's exactly one of the types of things we look for. Is can the player salvage this thing correctly, or are we forcing them into a spot where they have to destroy something, which feels bad. So we want to fix that.
Cough twice if the new Weaver is Chris Pratt.
How many times do I have to cough to say that it's not Chris Pratt? It'll never be Chris Pratt. No chance in hell it'll be Pratt.
Vilcata is voting for Danny DeVito for Weaver and Christopher Walken for Hell.
Walken is a good choice.
Walken's a great choice.
Who would be your dream cast if budget was no barrier?
For Weaver?
For the whole cast.
Oh boy, that's a good question. So for Weaver, I really want my dream casting would be Toby Huss. If anyone's watched *Halt and Catch Fire*, he's in there. He's in a couple other shows. He's just got this natural Southern kind of charm. to him, he would have been a fantastic. He was always my choice. I don't know, Ian. Who would you cast and pick a character and put your casting?
Oh, I'm not good with celebrities. Let me think. Come back to me. I'll think on it, and I'll get back to you.
Yes, Sean. What do you think?
Maybe Hal, cast Hal with Mr. T. Maybe that'll work.
I don't know. I'd have to put some thought into that.
I mean, the combination of Mr. T and Christopher Walken, I reckon, would be really good.
Christopher Walken as Control would be hilarious.
As Control?
Yeah.
That would be great. How's the ship saving feature coming along? Asks Barrage 3.
It's close. It's very close. We're just working out the wrinkle with the respawn ships right now, but they're responding. They're mostly there. It's amazing that it took so long for us to get to this point. It's really cool to see it happening. So it's close. Richard is say more.
What is your favorite data drive in the game?
Ian, what's your favorite data drive in the
Concrete.
Concrete the cat.
Yes.
That's a good one. Tina, yours too?
Oh yeah, Giddy.
Jess, do you have a favorite?
Not. I'm pretty boring right now. I'm sorry. I'm indecisive.
I think Concrete's great. I think Starchford the potato might be favorite. But I don't know. They're fun. The data drives are super fun because they kind of go all over the place. They're great.
From CAC again, how did you do the space environment? It seems really small. So is it a skybox or small objects far away to look big?
Both. Actually, no. It's primarily the second one. It's primarily small objects away, and a lot of them are actually 2D. The stuff that flies around, like the ships and stuff, are all little tiny 3D models that we just scale way down for perspective reasons. I'm totally shattering all of the illusions right now. You guys are seeing way behind the curtain, but it's all tiny.
Our old Earth that we had before that was very expensive was pretty cool too. But
We did have a gigantic 3D Earth at one point.
That had time lapse.
Yeah, I had a time lapse on it, and the city lights would come on, and the clouds would change and dissipate, and I think it cost more to render that than the rest of the game, so we switched to what we have now.
We're a bit over time. Should we just do one more?
Let's do a couple more.
Couple more. Okay.
By Vilcata, will we get the ability to disable upgrades that we decide we don't like or don't want for a specific ship, like disabling split saw range upgrades?
No, unfortunately not. It's not. There's no super easy way for us to do that. We know it can be frustrating, and the worst case scenario was when we had the upgrade to the cutter power. That would cause you to damage things you previously could cut around normally. So we ended up just completely getting rid of that upgrade. So we might tweak things so that it should never feel like a step down to upgrade. So if that's still happening, we'd rather make the upgrade itself not something that you want to retract.
Clowns ask, are there any plans to change or alter the furnace or processor zones?
Is this in reference to, like, when you say zones, I'm assuming you mean maybe like the pull-in area, like the part that starts actually sucking you in? I don't know. We might be tweaking that a little bit full release. I'm not sure.
Here's one for Jess. How much of the studio is working on Shipbreaker?
Jess bailed.
No, I didn't. I muted and rookie error, didn't realize I hadn't unmuted. 300 people in the studio, and I believe our team is around 42 people right now. So this is the largest it's been. We were a very tiny team for a long time. When I say tiny, it was like 10 people. And then we've kind of ramped up quite a bit over the last couple years, and yeah, we're at our peak now.
From some kittens, what's the dumbest way you've died in Shipbreaker?
Oh man, so many dumb ways to die.
I think for me, oh sorry.
Go ahead, team.
I think for me it's when I would push an item towards like one of the like the processor, and it would miss and hit the wall and rebound in my face or something like that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I think mine is similar. Pushing a large panel on an edge and having the like other end flip up and hit me, or crush me against the ship behind me.
Yeah, for me it would be trying to save a panel that's going towards the incinerator and then getting incinerated myself.
Are you still wanting to do a couple more, Elliot? Because we are over time. And
let's do one more, and then we can.
one more.
Call it.
Was there any that you saw in the chat that you wanted to answer?
I'm just scrolling through now. I wasn't really looking at the.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go to the bottom. If there's any more last questions that you really want the devs to answer, post them now.
Warlords is asking when is the release? We don't have a specific date that we can tell you, but we're working on it. Soon.tm.
Cyrilla asked, will there be... Oh, the chat's moving quickly, sorry. Will there be segments of the dialogue that will be kept random, which would prevent you from hearing them all in one playthrough?
Yeah, there's some of the in-bay character chatter is randomized, and there's a lot of them. We wrote quite a few of those scenes, and because we don't necessarily know how many shifts a player is going to take to get from one rank to the next, we use these to fill some of that space. So some players might hear them all, some players might not hear all of them.
So go slow if you want to hear them all.
Go slow.
Oh, and by Courier, sorry, I'm putting another one. This might not have been already answered, but are there plans to bring back the ability to select lower hazard level ships?
We're looking at that as an option. It won't be in for full release, I can say that, but we are looking at that as potentially something post-launch, because we recognize the desire to have that come back.
And me being the producer I'm going to say no more questions at this point, because we've got a lot of other stuff going on.
Can you say it more like Control?
Don't do that. As in, don't do more questions. Go back to work.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. This is always
Thank
really
you.
fun to answer these questions. So thanks, everybody.
And
It's
Tina and I
true.
will hang out for a bit if there's any sort of non-dev related questions.
Bye, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all so much for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Ian, I saw a question up above. There were so many about Hardwire and what happened to
Hardware? So Hardware was the original game that the studio was working on when THQ went bankrupt and the Homeworld IP went up for auction. BBI got some money together and tried to bid on the IP. The IP or the auction eventually was won by Gearbox. After that, there was a phone call between Rob Cunningham, our CEO, and Randy Pitchford, Gearbox's CEO, in which Rob said, "Congratulations, what are your plans for the IP?" And Randy said, "Oh, we don't really know. We just really didn't want it to fall into the wrong hands. We really love the IP." And that was sort of the impetus for hardware morphing into Homeworld Deserts of Karak. Does that answer the question?
I think so. I did see another question. I don't know if we can answer that one now that devs are gone, but it was about FOV options or such for Shipbreaker.
I don't think there is any FOV slider options currently planned, but anything is possible post-launch if there is demand for it.
Guys, now it's time for the good questions.
The pizza pineapple questions. I think pineapple on pizza is totally fine. It's not something I really enjoy, but I would never judge anyone for their preference for it. My favorite color is purple. How about you, Tina?
It changes a lot. I think it depends. I think either lime green or light pink.
And what was your mother's maiden name and the name of your first pet? Don't answer that.
I know. I don't need. Where's that question? I don't see.
It wasn't there. I was just making fun of favorite color could be a potential security question on some account that you don't want someone gaining access to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's moderation time for that person.
Is there a game mode where you repair or build ships? No, nothing planned for that for this game. Could be a future game, who knows?
Also, thank you to the devs who are sticking behind and answering questions in the text channel. It's awesome.
Romance ship plans, like the ships themselves have romances?
Romance? Like a dating sim game? With the ships?
I'm 100% on board with the idea of a spaceship dating sim where the spaceships have AIs that date each other. Thanks, Guy. Thank you for recording. You're awesome as always.
Yeah, thank you. There will be a VOD if you missed the beginning or if you missed any part of this AMA. We'll post it in the announcements later. I'm scrolling back up. We had a lot of questions this session.
This is a tale of woe from Nafty. Their first playthrough was a no clones difficulty, and they got nuked by an, at the time, brand new Gecko. They had half their debt paid off. It was very disheartening.
Oh, no.
Our condolences, Nafty. Hopefully you make it all the way with a no clones profile at some point. Are BBI working on anything beyond Shipbreaker, or is it all hands on deck for now? So the studio is currently 300-something people. We have, I'm trying to think the exact number. I think there are 5 or 6 projects in various stages of production. Some of them are in full swing. Some of them are close to release, like Shipbreaker and Crossfire Legion, Homeworld 3. And a couple are very much in their infancy, just sort of in pre-production or just getting off the ground. Maybe there's even 7? I don't know. There's a lot happening at the studio. It's hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
Any plans for another AMA? That's an excellent question. We're definitely going to try and do a Reddit AMA sometime before launch. And hopefully we'll do another Discord AMA as well, time permitting. It just all comes down to whether we can afford the hour of people's time to being here rather than being somewhere fixing bugs. But I would bet money that there will be another Discord AMA sometime closer to launch.
Some Kitten says we should turn the tables and ask them questions.
Ooh. What is your favorite game that has released within the last year?
That's a good one.
Rome Cool asks, when can we have player choice back? I want an option for the old ship catalog. I don't think we'll see the old ship catalog back at any point. If there's a way to sort of incorporate the ability to choose lower hazard level ships within the new catalog system, I think that would be the approach that we would take, but it's still very much TBD.
Oh, Teardown looks cool. I have that on my wish list, I think.
I would say yes, early access does count. I see High Fleet, I see GTFO, Teardown, Factorio. That's dubious given that it's been around for, what, 7 years now?
Yeah.
Great game, but I wouldn't say that it's really, really new, even if it did exit early access. Ready or Not, Dyson Sphere program. That one's pretty cool. Halo Infinite. Factorio is not a game. Factorio is a circuit board layout tool.
It Takes Two is so good.
I haven't played it yet. I have it, but I need someone to sit down and play it with me. Obviously, COVID has made that a little bit challenging.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's neat puzzles and stuff.
Awesome. My personal choice would probably be Age of Empires 4. I've been playing a lot of that recently, and I very much enjoy it. How about you, Tina?
This year, I have to think about it because of what I've been playing recently. I don't think it has been released this year. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now, but that's in early access, and I think it was released last year. I'll have to think about it. Because I've been playing a lot of older titles like Expeditions, Vikings, and Divinity, Original Sin, and stuff like that.
Nice.
I love that game.
Do you have a question for the community, Tina?
What has been your favorite update for Shipbreaker?
Well, that's an excellent question.
I read a lot of feedback, so I was like, what can I ask?
The Rad update. Golf likes the one that added race. What was that? That was 2.0 or 3.0 or something?
Yeah, super early.
I remember that was very early on. Let me check my spreadsheet.
The one that removed the cut guards.
Hey, I like the cut guards. I'm sad to see them gone. I think they were a little bit clunky, but they added nuance.
Oh shit. Oh, the key binds. Was the rebinding keys around the same time as the race update? I think it was pretty close.
Weekly ship was 2.0. Configurable keyboard was 0.1.4.
The one that added the bunny.
Oh yeah, Bunny D.
Oh
I
my gosh.
think my personal favorite was 0.6.0 because it added Act 2 and it really sort of laid the foundation for what the story was going to be.
Yeah, me too. It was fun to see the story and the characters interact. Speaking of Bunny, there's so much like developer memes and fan art. Like among the devs, they create memes and fan art about the bunny. It's pretty amazing. We'll have to share some.
Like the version of Bunny D with the human mouth, which is terrifying.
Yeah, the creepy version and then the plushies that some devs have made, like stuff like there's so much. It's definitely a mascot among the devs. Please share the human mouth. It's creepy.
I don't think I have that on hand.
I saved all of them so that I can eventually share them. Any development on a Bunny D animated series?
That would be amazing. Or even just like a webcomic. A Bunny D webcomic would be great. Someone should get on that.
So is asking a notable piece of feedback you've read recently. I've gone through the whole. This is the probably the thing that stands out the most. Early access announcement post that we posted on Steam, where it had like over 200 comments. And I can't really pinpoint one certain feedback. I mean, there was a huge collection of, popular topics and whatnot, but it was really delightful to see all the thanks and the positivity towards the dev team. I think it's definitely really not just encouraging, but it's really sweet to see and all the kind messages that people left for the devs and congratulating them for getting to 1.0. That was really nice to see. I know it's not technically feedback, but something that stands out if I think of what I've read recently.
Positive feedback can be feedback.
Yeah, that's true.
I kind of wish we had like a list of all the things that we've done in the game that were inspired by early access feedback.
Oh.
I mean, we actually probably can to an extent.
Yeah.
Like casual mode. Casual mode was one of the first things. It was in 1.3 or 0.1.3. That was something that came out of community feedback. Configurable keyboard, that was community feedback. Removing the cut guard, that was community feedback. We made tutorial tweaks based on feedback. The initial Hab UI refresh, that was based on community feedback, if I recall. Yeah, there have been a lot of things through the years.
What about the 3D hab? Someone's mentioning the 3D hab was that something that was already on the devs' radar before the community talking about wanting a hab?
I think we always wanted to do something beyond what we initially had. But yeah, for for the specifics of it, I think we did take into account sort of what people were suggesting.
Lots of bug fixes. We're definitely communicating that.
So many bug fixes. Yeah, the bug report channel has been of huge help to us and our QA team. I can't hear anything. Is that normal? No, that is not normal. Is it helpful for me to say that when they can't hear? Probably not. Cool. Any final questions, anybody?
Can we get a very large coffee mug with the company logo on it?
Like in real life, in merch land? I can make the suggestion. Any plans to take 3D Hab off the rails? No plans at this time to take the 3D Hab off the rails. We thought about versions where you could walk away or walk around, but because you're still technically in the bay in the game, adding gravity was impossible, and free floating around didn't feel good. So that's why we went for the sort of rails version.
Atlas is asking, are you planning a way to disable controls morning messages?
No, I think Link's annoying you is part of the game.
That's a perfect answer.
It all really depends, Guy. The question is what will happen post-launch and what is in scope. Definitely quality of life improvements will be in scope. Major features really just depends on how the launch goes, how much interest there is in the game, and what sort of plans develop because of that. We did look at possibilities of scale models for ships. There's a lot of companies out there that do them. The problem is a lot of these companies will give you a sample that's great, but then they do direct to customer shipping, and the products that hit the customers aren't of significant quality to really make it worthwhile. So it's definitely not totally off the table, but it is something we've considered and haven't found a vendor that we're super happy with as of yet. Lego Shipbreaker? Yes, absolutely. We are all big fans of Lego, and that would be awesome.
Oh, that's a good question. Is there an increase of gameplay activity after AMA?
That is a good question. I imagine that because the AMAs are relatively small, it would be fairly hard to track. You know, I wasn't really paying too much attention. I think I saw 129 people listening at one point.
Yeah.
And, you know, if everyone logged into the game, it would probably be enough to show up in the concurrent users and the daily average user score, but it probably wouldn't be significant enough to stand out as anything other than sort of noise or a sort of natural fluctuation. We currently use Unity for this game. The studio is using a variety of different engines for different games, so we're very engine agnostic studio-wise. We just use the best tools for the job for the individual game, and those decisions are sort of left up to the technical leads of the studio, the tech directors. How many people are on the team? As Jess mentioned during the AMA, we've currently got about 42 people on the team across a variety of different disciplines and seniorities. Sean is our newest member of the team, but he's also quite a senior designer. He's worked all over the place. He's worked with Smilegate and Ubisoft and can't even remember where else. The most junior person on the team, I don't know who that would be, actually. Everyone has a couple years of experience on the team now.
But there's been, there's been some co-op program interns.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We've got a bunch of co-ops, but I don't know, they most of them have been on the team now for quite a few terms, so it feels like they're old veterans. Yeah, we are super supportive of the existing mod community on Shipbreaker, led by our good friend Torf, and we totally support the efforts as much as we can. But there's no plans to turn internal tools into external tools, and without that, there's not a lot of really helpful things we can do. I mean, if you are a modder and you have specific requests, definitely hit us up and we can see if we can accommodate them. But it's not like we can just release the source code or give you access to our P4 files. It's unfortunately not how it works. Cool. Well, if there's no other questions, I should probably get back to work. But thank you all very much for joining us for the AMA and for hanging out after with Tina and I here and Liam in the chat. You guys all, or you folks, all rock. Thank you for being such an awesome community.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is always so much fun.
And as always, if you have further questions, head over to the questions channel and ask away there, and our awesome community mod team will help you out.
Thank you all for joining.
Hey, everybody.
Have a good day.